Well, it's the last Tech Tuesday of the school year. Happy end of school 2023 teachers of Aztec schools. So, first, a brief introduction to Google Sites. It's a lot more easy and simple than you might think if you've never dipped into Google Sites. Then, we're going to take a look at some incredible content creation happening right here in Aztec, New Mexico, with our teachers of Aztec schools. Google Sites is only one of our Google apps. If you've not used it a lot, it may not be among your top ones suggested, but this is the icon for Google Sites. You could also type in sites.google.com. Now, here are some of the websites I've played around with over the years. Every single one that I've started by hitting the plus sign there or down here is going to be found in my site's home page. If I've made a Google site in a different profile, it will not be listed here, which is just like any other Google app. So let me show you one of the ones that I've used for our newsletter. We ended up liking a Google site with an embedded Canva because we could track viewer statistics, but we could also house moving files without our Canva design turning into a movie. Links are not as functional in a Canva design if it is a moving file. But I get to put in my moving files here to look fancy, and this is what it looks like in a preview. To get out of the preview, you click the X down there. But to actually send a link to the live web page, you click on the link and copy it and send it off. Will everybody that clicks on the link be able to get into this website? Like any access issue, it's going to be under share with others. I've made the published site public. I can change that to Aztec Municipal Schools only if I want to be careful to guard against copyright infringement or anything like that. But if I really want everyone to see this site because I want parents of my students to be able to see it, for instance, I'd want to make it public like this. This is a parent newsletter, so of course we want people that are external to Aztec Schools domain to be able to get in. But I'm going to use this just now to give you a quick tour of the three main tabs in Google Sites. Pages is only the list of the pages you've made to be navigatable off of this site. So notice previous editions and latest editions are my only pages showing up here. And then here's a look at the theme, what kind of look you'd like. This insert is going to be the tab you're working with the most when you're making a Google site. You can insert images that you can upload or select from your drive. Any file in your drive you can put into here, so pay attention to whether it's got information that you want to be available publicly. Embed is what Sarah Brockett's, she used the URL embed. I sometimes with Canva, it gives me an embed code, so I paste that in there. But a text box would look like that, and then you write the text in. You can change its size, change its font, and change the color. Okay, got several basic formatting of the text. You can make it centered by choosing that, right? To get rid of a section that I just inserted, I delete it with this trash can. If you're working in Google files, these are automatic embeds of a Google file. So if I want to embed a Google Doc, I click here and it brings up the recent Google Docs that I've been in. All of these things can be embedded. A map, a calendar. You want to make sure that the people that can see your Google site also are set to be able to see calendar. So remember, when you're embedding a file, it doesn't erase every single barrier of access. So you want to make sure that if your Google site is set to everyone or public, that the file you're embedding in that Google site also is anyone can view. Any change you've made in preview, it's going to show up, but does it actually show up? No, because I've added it, but I haven't clicked publish. When I do click publish, it's going to show me the thing that's going to be changed. Okay. Once I click publish and verify that, yes, that's exactly what I want. Now, this isn't what I want, so I'm going to undo this action. See how easy that was? Now, in order to embed for instance, a form, I have to be at least an editor on that form. So it is something you have to pull from your recent or search for. I can't just post a link into this. In other words, this is searching for my drive. There it is, AHS Summer School Registration. And then I can embed an entire Google form, which if the first section of your Google form is an introduction of what the Google form is, it's even better. And this is what it looks like. Many of us know some incredible content creators. And so I've used this training to document some of those really amazing teachers, one from Aztec High and her colleagues, and one from the middle school. I am here with the lovely Mrs. Brockett. So, Mrs. Brockett, I see your picture right there, and meet Mrs. Brockett. The big question that Google Classroom teachers want to know: why would I make a Google site if I already have a classroom where I post stuff? Isn't that twice the work?
Actually, it's not for me. I've found it to be really kind of a lifesaver. During COVID is when I came up with the idea to start a website, simply to have everything stored in one place, and so that I wouldn't have to constantly go back into like archived classes and search for things that I posted, figure out when I posted them, if I wanted to change my instructions and all of that stuff. I think that can be kind of cumbersome and time consuming. So I found my website to, as I've mentioned to you, kind of function like a filing cabinet for me. I haven't filed anything in my filing cabinet in my office.
Physically.
Yeah, physically. The really cool thing about Google Sites is that you can store a lot of your like supplementary materials here. I actually don't post a lot of assignments on my website. Those I do keep to Google Classroom, but oftentimes I'll have a place to go to find credible information rather than just Googling something. And so I will post things like that to my website.
So it's your way of curating good resources for them to
Yeah,
choose from.
and good resources, and then other things that I've created, like maybe a slideshow, or a choice board, like summaries. I've created 3 different websites. I teach AP, and so this website that you're looking at right now is the AP website that I've created, and so I like have everything organized through different genres, and so it gives kids also that like visual representation of what they're learning, and then it also allows for teachers to collaborate really well.
Tell us more about that. That sounds cool.
So this is my AP one, right? And this is the one that I do independently. But then I also have a 9th grade website that I share.
There you both are.
So there are the 2 of us, and so we share this. We
Nice.
both have editing powers, and so we can both add to it. So anytime one of us has a great idea, for instance, we both just did The Hobbit together, and so anytime any of us has something to add to The Hobbit, we just kind of dump it on this website, and then it makes that collaboration really easy.
So it's like a basket where you both can dump into.
Exactly.
Because Google Classroom is a closed ecosystem, right? And so you
Mhm.
might share a planning Google Classroom, and that's cool too. But if you also share this site, when you link to the site in your assignment, you could reuse each other's assignments in Classroom and it would still be valid because you're still referring to the same site that you work on.
Exactly. Yeah. And we both teach really differently, right? And so we think of assignments really differently in the way that we present them. But to have like this kind of common space for us to have, for example, you can go here to The Hobbit, and there is a full audiobook version of The Hobbit that students have access to through this website, or a PDF. So there's really no excuse for them not to be reading along with you when they aren't in class. Um, so we kind of
Right.
use Google Classroom and the website to piggyback off of each other. You know, things will say refer to the website and then we'll link to the appropriate page. And so it actually works really well in tandem. And I don't find that I'm posting things on my website that I'm also posting in Google Classroom or vice versa. Um, so it doesn't really, yeah, I don't think that it's really doubling up work at all. Again, I rarely post assignments on my website. It's more just for resources, and for kids to have like something cool to look at, and a place for me to store resources. Because if you'll notice on my tabs up here, I have a lot of favorites. And so this was just getting really kind of ridiculous to save all of my resources. And so this is a place to do that so that I don't have to remember, oh, where was that really great film on the Great Depression? You know, when I'm teaching of mice and men, I can just link a YouTube video to it here, or link a soundbite. Miss Tarrant and I, and Irene's on here too, Miss Berry, but she doesn't really share this website with us. But we do the same thing with seniors. So we post different poems that we might teach, different ideas,
Very cool.
toy sports. So it's actually worked out really, really well, in terms of just, yeah, sharing those kind of.
And for those of you who are watching this and wondering about copyright, since you see a lot of texts and audiobooks linked to here, remember a Google site can be a type of access that is more closed, where it's only your students or only Aztec schools people can see it. So then the copyright issue is not as much of a big deal. But I love the equitable access you're providing your students, because whether we like it or not, kids are less able to deal with physical stuff and keep track
Mhm.
of their novels. And they sometimes need to find it online because they won't be able to keep up with your class because they didn't bring theirs today. So that,
Right.
and the access issue for the like dyslexic kids to have the audiobook right there is really cool.
Mhm. And then, you know, we also, I mean, it can take you, for instance, I do a Frankenstein unit. I'm like, so you have your slideshows uploaded, and then it can take you outside your classroom as well. And that's one thing I like about it. Like if I want to show them a video, right? It can, like, it just takes you to, like I was saying, it kind of takes you outside. So you can link to YouTube, and you can do all those things. It's linked directly there. Same with like PDFs and just different web pages. It
Hmm.
takes you, like, for instance, this one, right? This isn't me. This is the actual like site, and if I click on this, it will take me to a different window. So I don't have to keep
Yeah.
track of all of these different things. My website does that for me, and it does it so that it's pretty, as opposed to Google Classroom, which is just like that linear model of looking at it.
Sarah's going to take us behind the scenes of this site right now. And to edit a Google site, you just, there's the pencil right there.
But sometimes the website will offer you two different ways to look at it. For example, this this resource for Frankenstein. Now, when you're looking at my website, I have it set up like this. So you just like click on this image and it takes you to the Wikipedia link. But I could have it set up in a different way. I could have it set up so that um, you can actually see the entire thing in my website.
Wow.
So I can have it look like this.
Oh, whole
So,
page versus.
or I could do whole page. So you're actually in Wikipedia, almost like there's like a window in my website that you're looking through it into Wikipedia.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you, it has a
And these
scroll bar.
Yeah, so it has a scroll bar, and then students have like those links still that are still active because again, it's just like a window into Wikipedia through this website. Or you can have just the preview version where it looks like this and it's just linked.
Click on the picture again. So when if it's just the preview, is it opening in it's tabbing over to a different tab?
Yeah, it opens a new tab and it takes you to that website. So
Okay.
if you have it as a preview, you have it, and you click on it, it actually takes you to the website. If you have it as what was the other option?
The whole page, then
The whole page,
they
yeah,
don't navigate away, they stay in your website.
right, exactly. So,
Cool.
and
That'd
sometimes
be
that's not an
valuable.
option. Sometimes that window, the whole page is not does it does not open when you embed. It only allows you to do the preview, but sometimes it can be really kind of handy to have it mixed up anyway. And then, I mean, there are really cool things that you can do with your website, or because you can set it up to be really organized. I know how I want to organize things. For example, since we're in Frankenstein,
Do
we'll
you
just
ever hide the other units from
no, but
navigation?
you could.
You
I
could.
just don't. I mean, I don't feel like I need to limit them. But while I'm working on something, like if something's not ready to be published yet because I haven't finished
Right,
it, I'll hide
right.
it. But
Okay.
you know, I can organize it to actually go through, like for instance, the novel guide.
Hmm.
I have it set up so that here's like my first section, and then I have my chapters. But then you can have also these really cool like buttons that you can, you know, so it goes from like in order of the how you want students to go through everything. And you can see like it's not always finished. And it grows every year. I add to it. It makes me remember I want to talk about this illusion in chapter 5, right? Where I might not remember that otherwise. So it kind of it works as like bookmarks for me. It works as plan book for me. It works like a filing cabinet and saves all of my resources and makes it visually appealing for students. So that's why I really like it.
How cool. Well, thanks for sharing, Sarah. I'm going to
Yeah.
show them how to hide a page and how to
Okay.
unhide a page. But if you want to show them real quick,
How to hide or unhide?
yeah, all
Just
these pages over here on the right, that is the structure of all the different pages she's made to come off of this website. Let's say you want to hide one.
so like interesting reads, maybe I don't want students to, because I haven't read enough to make it worthwhile. All you have to do is hide it from navigation, and then it just puts a little slash through it. And then when people go to your website, it's no longer an
They won't see
option.
it.
It's no longer,
A-
oopsies, wrong
And
one.
you can always go back and unhide it in the same three dots there that
Yep.
that
Yeah.
Sarah showed
Yep.
us. Yeah,
Show
show in
navigation,
navigation.
and this is where you can make something your home page, duplicate a page, add more a sub page, which is what all these are.
Hmm.
So the sub pages, and it's really easy to move. Like if I decided I wanted, like for instance, a streetcar named Desire has no interest, no business being under like part of Macbeth. It should just be under the theater, so you can just drag and drop it.
Perfect. Nice. So they're
So you can reorganize things easily from here. Yeah, no, it's nice. And before COVID, I had seen a teacher's website. And I thought, who has the time to create something like that? And now, after I've taught with one, I can't imagine not having a website.
huh. That's really compelling. So there's a use for it, but it's also like those, like any master teacher has lesson plans they want to be able to use again if it's
Mm-hmm,
really good and they worked really hard on it. So a
mm-hmm,
Google site, housing them all in a Google site that is not archived or hidden, but it's right
mm-hmm.
there in front of you can be very valuable. Thank you, Sarah,
Yeah,
for your
yeah, you're
time.
welcome. That was helpful.
So as you can see, Sarah Brockett and her colleagues in our AHS English department found a wonderful use that is collaborative and curates resources. It also keeps track of their resources that they use. So it's more like a bank or a student hub for information. It's open to all of their students, so it's more open than the Google Classroom, but because they're linking to all kinds of online texts and videos, they close the access just a bit to prevent infringement of copyright. Now, this visual engagement and assistive technology, even with the audiobooks, just pulls their students into what are sometimes difficult texts, especially when you're talking about AP students, or maybe a grade level text for students that have difficulties with reading. Now I'm going to show you a very different use of Google Sites from a team of teachers, math teachers at the middle school. Ms. Martis and Ms. Maxwell intentionally open up the access of Google Sites to parents because the infamous problem of a math teacher and their students is that they can't get help at home because their parents don't get what's going on in the classroom. Math is taught in a totally different way than when most of us were taught math. So she's intentionally, Ms. Martes, who is leaving us this year due to retirement. Thank you, Ms. Martis, for all you've done. I just got to meet you. But Ms. Maxwell will carry on. So I'm going to be showing you how they're going to pass off the torch of Ms. Martis's owned Google site to Ms. Maxwell, who has helped her build these resources. I'm going to give you a brief tour of this Team Teachers website. It does have a hub for the resources for students, for parents, and resources including syllabus and all kinds of things that parents of middle schoolers will want to know. But something that's super cool that I want you to see is that Miss Martas and Miss Maxwell have posted the working files of their students that they post to Google Classroom into this Google site. And that enables parents to help their students with work that's happening in the class. Previous week, the week before that, we can expand it and view the whole presentation and go through it with our student, with our child, so that they can see everything the students see in their Google Classroom, which, as you know, is shut off from them, um, closed ecosystem. And they just click through all of this to get to their work for the day. These Google Sites, once they're built and used between teachers, can be very valuable. But if one of them leaves, uh, just to remember when they leave, even if you make a copy of this website and now you own a copy of it, and it's called copy of, um, doesn't mean you're going to be able to get into these because all of these are owned by the person that's leaving. So here's how to quickly replace things with copies so that you own them and you'll still be able to access everything in this site. It's not exactly quick, but it's definitely needed if you're going to continue to use this site and this hub that you and your partner teacher put together. This is a resource that's worth it. Okay, I'm going to color this inserted file a little bit different from the ones around it to remember that that's the one I'm making a copy of and replacing in the moment. All right, now I'm going to launch it. I'm going to make a copy of it. I can't even see the option to make a copy until I take it out of present mode, which is the mode that it's supposed to be in when you embed it in a Google site. I'm going to replace everything after the last forward slash, everything after the last forward slash with view and hit enter. From here, even if I only have view only access, I can make a copy. I'm going to note the name of it while I do. And then I'm going to find it. All right, so here's the name of it, copy of 041723. Here's the copy. Here's this thing I wanted to replace it with. From insert to drive. And I'm going to click on recent. This is the most recent file. There it is, copy of 041723. Double click. And there it is. That's the replacement for this one. Now I'm going to delete it and then drag this to be the right size. So this is just how to save files that have been group work files, so that you'll still have access. In fact, you own all of these things now.